So look, Bitcoin, I use Bitcoin as my savings account. Bro uses Bitcoin as his savings account too. So I'm going to explain to you what I mean by say Bitcoin is a savings account, because a lot of times when the price gets hot, people are like, oh, when are we going to sell out? How am I going to buy some pizza with my Bitcoin? Or how is it good if I can't buy no pizza with it? Look, check this out. Like, take Bitcoin out of the picture, right? If you took Bitcoin out of the picture on your day-to-day life, if you just got a checking account and a savings account, right? And you go to the store, you're not going to the store to get a pizza and spending the money out of your savings account, right? The money that's in your checking account, you've already budgeted. This is how much money I'm going to need to spend on a day-to-day, right? So you're not pulling that money out of your savings account to go buy shoes or to go on a vacation or to do it. Like, you already budget that. So with or without Bitcoin, you shouldn't be richer in your savings account anyways. Yeah. But I look at Bitcoin as just a savings account. So certain things on the Bitcoin standard don't make sense to people in the fiat world, and people in the fiat world, they do certain things that don't make sense on the Bitcoin standard. So for example, saving money. So the whole concept of saving money in the fiat world, it kind of doesn't make sense, because why would I stash my money away if I know it's going to be worth less in the future? Yeah. Right? So, like, I'm not saving money. I need to go invest it. I need to go flip it. I need to go do this. I need to go do that. So just putting money in your savings account and let it rock out for years don't do nothing. Yeah. Right? But on the Bitcoin standard, if you're using Bitcoin to save your money, then of course that makes sense, because your savings account is just growing, and then you could use your trash ass dollars to just go get you a pizza or whatever.
And I even feel like, just with the monetary system being broken the way it is, it just promotes people to be like major consumers. Like,
yeah, facts.
That's why you can sell a T-shirt for $600. You know, like,
it's like the money's on fire. Let me buy something.
Yeah, let me buy these like random things, because if the money was an honest money, then let's say the money was worth more in the future than it was today, then people would be more conscious about different things they're spending their money on, because it's like, why would I trade this hard good money for a T-shirt?
Yeah.
You know, exactly. Like, why would I trade these many units?
Oh, that's
for
a good. That's a good ass point. You start looking at priorities and stuff. Like, this thing is growing and it's giving me more purchasing power. Do I want to exchange that for a pair of shoes, a $600 pair of shoes, or a shirt, or just any little dumb spending that you do? It make you think twice about it. But because you know the dollar is on fire, I can't put 10 grand away and then in 5 years pull that same 10 grand out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So about the grandpa analogy.
The grandpa analogy
with the 5,000.
Yeah. Like, let's say your great papa, your great grandpops, like back in the day, back then he could buy a house for $5,000, you know, and imagine he's like, okay, so I'm gonna leave $5,000 for my great grandson, and I'm gonna bury it in the back of my house, and years later, when you're born and you're like, okay, where's the money my great grandpops left for me? Then what can you get with 5,000 now? Like, obviously you can do stuff, go on a trip, you know, maybe get a
you ain't getting no house.
Yeah, you're not getting a house.
Yeah, you get no house. Yeah, so that bro was stacking up, thinking like, I'm about to put a roof over his head.
Exactly. So,
and now you can get a Van Cleef bracelet.
Exactly.
Like, you can't get no house.
You can't get no house with that. So you know that you need to store your money in something that is hard and is going to be worth more in the future.
Oh, think about this though. Why don't you live in the same house that he bought for 5,000? So look, check this out. The reason why you don't live in the same house that your grandpa or your great grandpa bought for 5,000 is because the property value kept getting assessed up. And when they keep assessing the property value up, then they keep assessing the taxes up. So now you can't sit at the house and be like, well, I don't got to pay too many bills because this shit already paid off. Well, no, you owe property taxes now, right? So the property taxes keep going higher and higher and higher. So eventually what's going to happen is people might say, I can't afford to live in this neighborhood anymore. Let me sell out, take that and move somewhere else. Or, you get what I'm saying? Or maybe you take it, maybe your grandpa or your dad sells out of the investment, takes it and moves somewhere else or becomes a renter or whatever. So there's nothing even left to pass down to you, right? But if you think about society, it's kind of has to work that way, because imagine if one person can do work, buy a house, and then there's 8 generations of people who live under that never have to buy another house.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because our monetary system is broken, you need people to keep buying houses. But imagine if you solve the problem once and for all.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
exactly.
Or you don't even live in the same house as your grandpa bought or your dad bought. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you gotta it keeps people consuming.
So do you feel like you're living a normal life now that do you feel like people think you don't live a normal life and like
Yeah. Hey, look, bro. So bro knows, like, all right, because y'all might know me as the dude on the internet that talks about money, right? But I have a normal life, right? Like, I have a regular life. I have friends. I have family. I have, hobbies, interests, like all those things, right? But what happened when I went on a Bitcoin standard is now I don't have to have 45 different hustles. You know what I'm saying? So now when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh, let me go water the palm trees. You know what I mean? Let me go stretch out. Let me go do this, do that. And I don't got to check on this business and that business and that business. So even you went from like running a bunch of like side hustles in your Airbnb and flipping the clothes, and now you could kind of just go to work and just chill. And it's crazy because if you look at like the output of work, you've probably work a lot less now just by having a job plus the Bitcoin standard, but now you're wealthier than you ever been.
Exactly. And it also is a thing where if I want to do something, it's because I want to do it. Like, I don't have to do this X, Y, and Z, this side hustle, this. It's just, now it's a point where if I want to do something, it's just because I want to do it. Just from like adopting a Bitcoin standard and just relaxing. Because you remember when the price went up from like, it was in that consolidation from like 49,000 to 69,000, and then like when it finally broke through, I remember you sending me all those screenshots of like, you're up generational amount in one day, or like I remember
that was nuts. I was going up like a M or two a day for like days, like every day. Hey, this is crazy.
When I checked mine, I went to like my monthly chart. When it finally broke out, it like broke out from like 69 to around like 86,000. And I was up like 40 grand in
in 1 month,
just doing nothing.
And you don't even make that at work.
Yeah, in 1 month.
Exactly. That's crazy. And so how does it feel for you that you're just like, I just need to like basically be a good worker, like do what I'm supposed to do at work, help out, bring value to this company, store your money in Bitcoin, and go on about your life?
Like, it feel like it damn near feels like you're living on like a cheat code for some reason. Because like I was saying before, like it doesn't matter how much money you have, eventually it's gonna get to a point where you're making more. Like, as Bitcoin keeps growing, you're making more in a day than what you make in an entire month at work.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, like, if you adopt a Bitcoin standard, you eventually buy enough Bitcoin. It doesn't matter if you're a CEO, if you're the janitor, if you're an engineer there, if you're a marketing man. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Eventually, you're going to get to a point where you're making more daily than you do in the month. So it just feels like you're living life on a cheat code at that point, like, to build wealth. That's how I see it.
Now, would you still be living that way and that life and doing the same exact things if the price of Bitcoin went down? Right? Because these people, that our audience, they might say like, well, it's easy to say that, okay, all you got to do is go to work, buy Bitcoin and play basketball because Bitcoin is up. So if Bitcoin was down, what would change, if anything, or would you just keep doing the same thing in that?
I would just keep doing the same thing, because if you look at a larger scale, if you just zoom out on the Bitcoin chart, eventually, like, let's say it's 100,000 today, like 104, right? Eventually there's going to be a point in time where 104 looks like a good price, or it's going to be more, Bitcoin's going to be higher in the future than it is today. Eventually, whether that takes 4 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8, it doesn't matter to me, because whether, let's say, the Bitcoin price went from 104 to back to 20K, like, I would still be living the same life.
Do the same thing. Like, so you wouldn't go pick up no extra side hustles. Nah. You would just keep adding to your stack the same way you do now.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, what I want y'all to realize, and whether this is Bitcoin or whether this is a stock market or anything, what I want y'all to realize is you want assets to stay down so you can load up. So your first buy of Bitcoin was how much?
1,000. I remember. Yeah, 1,000.
All right, so imagine, bro, he's learning, he's doing the knowledge, right? He's doing the knowledge, and he gets $1,000 and he buys Bitcoin, right? Now let's say the next day Bitcoin 10x's, right? So your 1,000 just became 10,000, right? And you're celebrating, everything's good. Well, now the problem is all the money that he makes for the rest of the year that he was going to put into Bitcoin, now Bitcoin's 10 times higher. Yeah. So now you'd be buying a way higher Bitcoin. So instead of it going that route, the way that you would want it to go is that you buy for 1,000, right? And then the price just stays flat or goes even lower. Next month, you put another 1,000 in. Next 2 weeks, you put another 1,000 in, right? Let's say eventually you get 10,000 put in. Now the price 10x's. You got what I'm saying? It's exactly. A completely different ball game because your 10,000 went to 100,000 versus your 1,000 going to 10. So when it comes to, would he still be living this life, or would you still be having, like, feeling comfortable? Basically what you're saying is you feel comfortable just having a job and buying Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So if the price went lower, it would work in your favor even more because then you'd be able to load up. Yeah. So then the next time that it takes off, instead of you having a $40,000 month, you end up having a $120,000 month because you were loading up at the bottom.
Exactly. And I'll say that the more you learn and the more research you do, the more books you read, you'll get more confident. Because at first, I started off putting 1,000 in at a time, and then I went from that to putting my entire check into there. Like, so I went from, okay, I'll do like a smaller amount. Let's see that I'm learning more. I'm like, okay, let me up it a little. Then it gets to the point where you learn so much, you're like, why wouldn't I put my entire
well, I'm gonna keep these dollars
yeah,
for
exactly. Like, why wouldn't I put my entire check there? So that's where I kind of went from. So did you feel like telling your friends or leading people close to you was like something that was really important to you?
So bro, look, I'm gonna tell y'all like this. This is how strongly I felt about Bitcoin. So the dudes that were around me, it was you, Ace, and Eric, right? So the guys I talk to like on a day-to-day the most, right? And Vic too, is still Vic in there. And I was thinking about this. If any of these niggas choose not to learn about what I'm saying, I can't be cool with them no more. I can't. Like,
it was going to be raps.
It was about to be raps. Because if you would have, let's say you would have read the Bitcoin Standard, read Fiat Ruins Everything, read Broken Money, read any of these books and be like, all right, bro, I see what you're saying, but X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I'd be like, cool. You got what I'm saying? Cool. Yeah. But if I'm telling you, like, yo, this is the most important thing going on right now, bro, because it's not just about you, it's about your future children. Yeah. You got what I'm saying? Like, you need to take care of your future children. You need to take care of your future wife. You need to take care of the people that you love that you never even met because they ain't even here on this earth. Like, you need to do something right now. Like, bro, it's like the walls are closing in, right? And the walls are inflation. The walls are closing in. The walls are closing in. So we all kicking it, and it's cool to kick it and talk about who's the best hooper and this and that and where the best clubs and stuff and what's the dopest cars and all that shit, right? All that is cool, but I'm telling you, the walls are closing in.
Yeah.
And imagine you're like, yeah, this nigga's tripping. I'd be like, hey, bro, like, I almost feel like, yeah, this dude, like, you can't kick it. Like, you're not smart enough. Like, you don't care. All you care about is
surface level
things, but I'm telling you, the walls are closing in, and it's not like I'm making it up. We have verifiable evidence that the walls are closing in. The prices of houses are going up. The prices of cars are going up. The price of groceries are going up. The price of everything is going up. So it's not like you could look at me and be like, "Nah, you're tripping."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So I'm saying, hey, this is the system. So I think that was very, very, very important to me to tell everybody, but not just to tell them, to make sure that they know how important this is. Like, you know, Ace came out here and he was trading. He was showing me about like how he was trading SPY, and then the pre-market it gaps up, and then the gap will fill to the downside, or if it gaps down, the gap will fill to the upside when the market opens. And he was sitting right there on the couch, and I was over there, and I'm like, hey, bro, nothing you're talking about right now is more important than Bitcoin. Like, because he was on a crazy streak too. Like he showed me his Webull monthly thing where you could see how much profit you made, and I want to say that it was like 20 something days into the month, and he was only red one day. Like he only lost money one day trading.
Damn, that's crazy.
So he's shooting in the stock market like 90%, and then I'm still like, hey, ain't nothing more important than this, because you can get the money you're making from trading, you can put it into Bitcoin, but you have to have something that protects you from inflation.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was important.
So did you feel like it was important that everybody you kind of like led, like in your inner circle, like went and did the research themselves and just didn't take your word for it?
Yeah, that was the most impressive thing about you, right? Like, because when we were out in Europe, you started, I think that's when it started clicking for you, like you were saying. But imagine if me and you stopped being friends today, right? And the price of Bitcoin is 104 or something like that, right? If we stopped being friends today, you know exactly what to do. Matter of fact, I don't even think you would have held this long had you not did the knowledge yourself, you know? So like, I want you to tell them about like how now you have the confidence and you're competent enough to know like what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, so like since I went down like the whole rabbit hole of like watching like different podcasts, watching different Bitcoiners like Jack Mallers, Michael Saylor, Jeff Booth, and reading different books, like now I feel like, okay, like I'm confident enough I can put my entire paycheck there and not lose any sleep at night, or I don't even check my portfolio like that. I just see the Bitcoin price and be like, yeah, we probably up some money today.
Numbers, yeah.
You know, so like I feel like it just gives you that confidence of like, this is a no-brainer. Like this is like an easy layup. Like
you don't have to rely on my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
If we go back to when we first met and you were like, hey bro, what should I do with my money? And I'm telling you what to do, but I'm not explaining or leading you to the knowledge.
Yeah.
Then what ends up happening is you buy in, let's say you put $5,000 in when Bitcoin's 30, and then Bitcoin gets to 60, you're like, oh, I sold out.
Yeah, exactly.
You're looking for the exit, right? Here's another thing that I want people to understand is like, people might ask me or might ask you like, oh, when do we exit? Bitcoin is the exit.
Exactly.
Bitcoin is the exit. We're exiting from this system of broken money, and this is the exit, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
So
I will say, like, if you have like, okay, like I want to swap my Bitcoin for a house because I need somewhere to live.
Yeah.
You know, I think that makes sense.
yeah,
But
just don't do it for a bust down chain.
Yeah. Like if you're doing it for like a car, some chains, to go on vacation or like,
I would say anything less than a house for your family, or like maybe like some type of educational experience or education. I wouldn't even say regular education. Like if you watching this, like if y'all around my age or older and your daughter going to college and you gonna sell your Bitcoin to go to college, nah. Hey, nah.
I thought you were finna give a big ups, like hey, put her to school and let's do
no. Fuck. Hell nah. Hey, tell her, baby girl, read the Bitcoin stand. That's all the knowledge you need to do. Nah, it's not that. But like, let's say she had an opportunity to go to Australia and play tennis or something, but you have to front some of the money. Those are the type of things where you're like, okay, this is worth the money. This is what I've been saving for. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But it's just like I was saying that certain things on the Bitcoin standard just won't make sense when you look from the fiat standard, and things from the fiat standard won't make sense for the Bitcoin standard, right? Yeah. So for example, you save up a bunch of money and then you save a bunch of money in Bitcoin. The value of it goes up like crazy over 20, 30 years, and then you sell out of it to pay for school. You got what I'm saying? And you're like, no, that's one of those fiat traps that they set.
Exactly.
You got what I'm saying? So anything less than, let's say, a house for your family, cool. And then even with that being said, I would say if you want a house for your family, then take on as much debt as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Put 5% down on the house, not 20%, right? So if you got $1 million house, we'll use $1 million just to make the math easy, right? So if you got to put 20% down, that's $200,000. But $200,000 in Bitcoin, let's say that's 2 Bitcoin, right? 5 years from now, 10 years from now, let's say you got $1 million Bitcoin. The down payment alone is now worth $2 million.
Yeah.
You got what I'm saying? Like, or you could put the money into a house. So I would say, like, if you do want to get a house, then finance as much as possible or borrow against your Bitcoin to get the house. But to sell out of it, you know what I mean? Like, it just makes you question. Y'all will know as y'all start coming down this path, man. I might sound crazy now, but it'll make sense in the near future.
Yeah, like that even getting through that, the opportunity cost part, like even that was kind of like a big hump. Like, let's say you borrow somebody money or you spend money doing something stupid and you're like, that didn't just cost me, let's say $1,000.
Yeah.
That cost me, let's say Bitcoin's price was 30K when you were doing whatever you did. Yeah. Like, let's say you borrowed somebody money at the Bitcoin was 30K, right? You borrowed them $1,000 and
that 1,000 cost 3,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just like,
or that $1,000 pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Now cost 3 bands, but they're worth $40
Exactly.
now.
So just understanding opportunity cost is like a very big thing. Like, especially like, am I gonna swap my Bitcoin for this? Because it's easy to think, like I was saying before, to be a consumer when you're pricing things in a dollar, you're on a fiat standard. It's easy to, of course I'm gonna buy this with my dollars. But if the purchasing the power of the dollar was increasing, then you would be like, I'm not gonna buy this or I'm not gonna buy that. That's why, so when you get on a Bitcoin standard, it's a lot harder to give your Bitcoin away. Or even like, oh, where's my exit at? Like, exiting for dollars, like that doesn't make any sense.
That'd be like getting off of you're on a roller coaster going down to the pits of hell, and then there's something coming up, and you're like, you get on the hot air balloon that's going up, and it's going up, and you're like, hey, when do we go back on the roller coaster? You're like, hey, what you mean? Like, we saved you. You know what I'm saying? Another thing too is, like, even think about cars, bro. Like, think about how we send each other cars, right? So we'll send each other like cars because we've been watching the car market kind of like together or whatever, right? So let's say like I want like a Rolls Royce Cullinan, right? That's a $400,000 car, but now we're seeing them for like
220, 240, 219, 190.
Yeah, 200, right? Even now, you would have to ask yourself, like, if in the dollar terms, I just watched that thing fall from 400 to 200, right? But in Bitcoin terms, let's say when it was 400, Bitcoin was only, let's say it was 40,000, right? So this thing used to cost 10 Bitcoin, and now it costs 2 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, am I willing to give up 2 Bitcoin for this car?
Yeah, exactly.
Because in 2 years, this thing will cost 1 Bitcoin, and then in 2 years from there, it'll cost 0.1 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And this just makes you realize, like, oh shit, these cars are shit coins. Like
everything's falling to
everything's
Bitcoin.
falling against Bitcoin.
So yeah, like even seeing things like that, like just seeing different things like cars, clothes, shoes, it just makes you like, it was a tweet that I put out. I don't remember what the tweet said, but it was a tweet that I put out. Like, the more you learn about Bitcoin, you just see everything being a shit coin. Like,
you see everything for what it is.
Yeah, like
you're just trying to sell me something so you can get my money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just a journey of like enlightening yourself on how things are working, how things are priced, and everything like that.
But what I will say though, y'all, is that you obviously don't want to live your life where you're never spending money, right?
Yeah.
But what happens is you start becoming more of a sniper with spending money, right? You're not just buying things. Like, we don't just go to the mall and just like, oh, let's just buy some stuff, right? Now, when I see a brand that I like, I'm like, I'll support that brand, right? Like, I'm going out my way to show support to this specific brand because I like what they stand for. Like that Lemon on Fire brand, I always buy stuff from them. Like, I think it's a young black dude who runs that. Every time they have a drop, I'm like, take my money, bro. Take my money. Half of the stuff I've never worn it. I'm just showing my support. I'm going out of because Bitcoin makes you more cautious and conscious about spending money. You're like, I'm going to spend to reflect my values. Yeah. You're putting out that fly shit.
Yeah, that I'm going to buy.
I'm about to get that. You got what I'm saying? Like, I'm going out my way to, hey, whenever your next drop is, I'll be there, right? I found an artist on Twitter that does painting. I just bought one of her paintings. She was, it went viral, like what she painted. And then I was like, how much? I DM'd her. I said, how much? And she said, well, it what she say? It was I was thinking that I wanted 1,600, but I'm open for negotiations. Right. So instantly, because I DM'd her and she's probably like, oh, this dude has a lot of like followers. Like, I just want to get this sale.
Yeah.
She starts discounting herself.
Yeah.
Right. But now, like, I'm proud to pay the full price. Like,
Yeah.
this is your work, you know, like, so I told her like, hey, put it up. So she put it on her Shopify. I bought it. Right. And the thing is, like, yeah, now I can go out my way to be very specific on who, because on a dollar standard, I'd be like, $1,600 or for what you just painted, if you don't even think like that, you know what I mean? But I'm like, man, the value of my wealth is rising so fast because I'm on this thing, I'm on this other standard. Now I'm going to be deliberate about who and what I choose to support. So we're not living in a damn bubble, y'all, but you know what I mean? We just get to be choosy about shit.
Yeah, and then you even get choosing better quality things.
Exactly.
Things you actually really want.
Yeah. That's how Bitcoin changes you.
Yeah.
It forces you to put quality, or it enlightens you to put quality over quantity. Like, bro, I'm not about to keep going to the mall every day and buying this and that and the third. Like, I'm gonna buy something that I like and I'm gonna rock out with it. So look, check this out, y'all. This was episode 1, and the point of episode 1 is just so we can introduce ourselves, introduce how we met, our friendship, give y'all like some of the dynamics of, like, you know, the friendship that we have and how Bitcoin has helped us out a lot, right? Now, as we go on to the next episode and the next episode and next episode, what we're going to do is teach you about Bitcoin, right? Because we don't want this to be a thing where we're just talking about how our life got better on Bitcoin and you're like, okay, so I should buy it because my life's going to get better. No, we're going to explain to you exactly how this thing works. We'll bring you news, the news that's important or that, you know, is relevant at the time, how that might affect the network, how that might affect the price, how that might affect these things, different products that you can use, where you're going to buy your Bitcoin, all those good things, right? So we just wanted to open this up with like, yo, this is who we are. This is what we're on. This is how our life is improving a lot. And one like key thing is, I don't want it to just be me, because you guys are going to be like, well, Chris, you're rich. We get it. Like, we can't afford a whole Bitcoin. But if I bring my boy on and he's co-hosting with me and he's telling you like, yo, like, bro, I used to have a million side hustles. Now I just work, put my money in Bitcoin and enjoy my life. You got what I'm saying? And he's not rich yet, but his life is way better. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's building his wealth. He's on his path. And then there's a 10-year age difference between us. So if you're younger, you don't look at me and say, well, you don't understand, bro. Times is different. Remember, you used to always ask me things like that too. You used to say like, oh, back when you were my age were things like this and things like this. And I'm like, some things were a little different, but for the most part, everything was the same. People were just, you know, living fast, blah, blah, not taking care of the future. But anyways, I bring him to give a whole different perspective. So this isn't just going to be us yapping all the time. We're going to actually teach you, but it's our goal to make it easy on your ears. Like, you could just hear like your cousins talking or something like that.
Right. Like, just the whole part of like, it's not, the podcast isn't going to be geared towards, yeah, we made X, Y, and Z doing this. I just feel like it's important to be transparent, because I feel like other people out there on the internet, especially like in investing space, Bitcoin, whatever, they're never transparent on, I bought this much of Bitcoin, I'm allocating, well, your famous word, I'm allocating this percentage of my income to it, buying this much, the gains is looking like this for me. Like, I feel like people aren't transparent, so I feel like it's more like raw and authentic to just be transparent. And like, it's not just about like, oh, our lives are getting better, like he was saying, it's like we're actually here to teach. So this is like more of just an introduction on how it's affected us by learning and sticking with it consistent. And then it's just about how we could teach you like the different properties of Bitcoin, how to buy it, how to store it, and
how to avoid shit coins.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I have something to say about that, because I was watching this Jeff Booth interview, right? So when you first start watching Jeff Booth, it's kind of hard to catch his message and, you know, but I was like watching it, and the guy, you could tell he's kind of tuning out. And then Jeff Booth is like telling them like, yeah, this is making people's lives better because it's giving them more purchasing power, which means things are getting cheaper for them, right? If you're saving your money in Bitcoin, life is getting cheaper, right? So he's telling this guy this, and he's like, yeah, you know, this will make things cheaper for people and blah, blah, blah. So the dude that he's talking to goes, yeah, but when do you think this will happen? Like, when is this going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So y'all might think the same thing. Like, we're talking about Bitcoin, we're talking about how it's the future and it's this and this, and you're gonna say like when, right? And what we're here to tell you, and a part of the whole being transparent thing, is it's already happening.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
It's already happening for everyone who's been saving in Bitcoin. Their life is getting cheaper. Everyone who's been saving in dollars, their life is getting more expensive.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example, right? So imagine the person that bought I don't know, 100 Bitcoin for $100, right? That's $10,000. That's $10,000, right? So they took their 10,000 and they bought 100 Bitcoin, right? Now, imagine this. Now Bitcoin is worth $100,000.
Yeah.
So what that $10,000 was able to buy them whenever they made that purchase, like 12 years ago, versus what they can buy now is completely different.
Yeah.
Right. That little 10,000 made their purchasing power grow a lot. Right. So life got cheaper for them over the last 12 years, but over the last 12 years for everybody else, the cost of housing went up, the cost of groceries went up, the cost of everything. So the people, even if you don't even go back that far, you could say the people who bought Bitcoin at 50K.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
You bought Bitcoin at 50K and now it's 100K. Right? That means you can buy twice the things that you used to be able to buy.
Exactly.
So if you put, hypothetically, you put $25,000 into Bitcoin when it was $50,000, right? And now it's 100,000, your 25 goes to 50. You can now buy double the amount that you used to, or it could be 2,000, any number, it has doubled. Now you have more purchasing power. So when we say this, and a part of this whole transparency thing and why we might use numbers is so that you can understand that life is getting cheaper on the Bitcoin standard.
Yeah.
Right. And life is getting more expensive on the fiat standard. And then the last thing that I'll close with is it's our goal to lead people to where the revolution is happening before it's too late, right? And not that I ever think it's going to be too late for Bitcoin, but like I'll use the Warren Buffett analogy. So Warren Buffett is, you know, the most successful or the most notarized investor in America, right? And he's worth $200 billion, but he's 91 years old, right? He's 91 years old and his father was a stockbroker. So assuming his pops was 20 when he had him, that's 110 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? 110 years ago, his dad was buying stocks. Right?
Yeah.
When did people who look like me and you start buying stocks?
Like 4 years ago, 2020.
2020. So y'all know this, right? 2020, the stock market became hot for black and brown people. Right? So that means the rest of America had a 115-year head start on this is the importance of putting your money away. This is the importance of buying these assets. Imagine 115 years of S&P 500 growth.
Yeah.
Passed down from generation to generation. And now we're 4 years in. As a matter of fact, not only are we 4 years in, but half of the people that got started in 2020 have already quit.
Yeah, exactly.
You got what I'm saying? So now, okay, so if it took us this long to catch on to the stock market, now imagine the smartest people in the world, the smartest people in finance have now pivoted. The head of the snake has now pivoted.
Yeah.
Right? They recognize that the system is broken, right? That all those gains in the stock market, all those gains in real estate have been propped up by the inflation machine. So they pivot. The head of the snake pivots, right? We're at the end of the snake. I don't want us to wait until 2060 and then be like, yeah, we should buy some Bitcoin. Or I don't want us to wait until 2040 and Bitcoin's $5 million a coin. And now it's common knowledge that, hey, I know Bitcoin's $5 million a coin. All you got to do is put some of your money in and just wait, bro.
Yep.
We trying to tell you this in 2024, right? So we want to lead you to the future long before it becomes cool, because we're trying to build the bridge between the people who look like us or the people who even come up like us in working class families or from, you know, like I'm from the bottom. So we want to be able to lead these people to where the head of the snake is going before it becomes common knowledge.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. I'm Chris. That's OJ. We still don't know what to call this thing,
Facts.
but we out.